Hi guys. Okay, so we're going to start taking all the information that we have found previously in our tables. We're going to put it all together and actually create the graphs for each rational function. So I'm going to take some problems from the homework, the problems that you already did, 1 through 24. I'm going to do 3 problems, and then the other problems, the rest of them, you can do for homework. And I will also provide you a PDF with copies of graphs in there, so you can take your tables and plot them on the graphs. Okay, so I gave you a little cheat sheet here for graphing rational functions. So if you just follow the steps, this should help guide you through the progression and things you need to do and characteristics you need to find, right, which we've already talked about. So the first one I'm going to do is number 4 from the homework, and that was I'm going to do this down here, x squared minus 2x minus 8 over x squared minus 9. And when we ended up simplifying that, we got x minus 4 over x plus 2. X minus 4 times x plus 2 over x plus 3 times x minus 3. And I can see nothing simplifies, so I have no holes. Okay, my x-intercept, I want to set my function equal to 0, which means I'm basically setting my numerator equal to 0, right? So I'm looking at this. So I'm going to have x-intercepts at positive 4 and negative 2. So I'm going to have x-intercepts at positive 4 and negative 2. My y-intercept, I'm substituting in 0 for x into my function. I end up getting 0 and 8 over 9. I have a vertical asymptote. I have 2 vertical asymptotes at x equals 3 and negative 3. And I have, since my degrees are the same, top and bottom, here and here, I have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 1. And since I have a horizontal, I have no slant. So now we're just going to put all that together. So the first thing I'm going to plot is my x-intercept. So I have 4, 0 and negative 2, 0. I have a y-intercept at 0 and 8/9. So that's approximately here, we're estimating. I have a vertical asymptote at 3. And I have another one at negative 3. I have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 1. And there, I've plotted everything. Ugh, that line looks really bad. Hold on a sec. Oop. Okay, let's see if I can do this a little bit neater. Okay, that's a little bit better. If you notice, my graph is divided into 3 sections. So right now I'm looking at this piece right here, okay? I also have another piece here in the middle. And I have a third piece over here. So I'm looking at these 3 pieces, okay? And I'm going to look at them separately, and this is going to help me to determine where I'm going to draw my graph. In a rational function, the pieces are called branches, okay? So right now I'm looking at the blue piece. I'm looking here. And branches look something like this. Branches can look like this, can look like this, can look like this, can look like this, right? So those are the 4 different options for branches, okay? So they're curved, and the reason they're curved like that is because they're approaching asymptotes. So When I look at this piece here, this section, I see that in that section, in that blue piece, within that piece, I have this piece here on the top, and then I have this piece here on the bottom. So I need to draw a branch that will approach these asymptotes, right? Let me use black here. So either my branch is going to look like this, or my branch is going to look like this. Those are the only two options. But I can't have two branches at the same time, because if I draw a vertical line, you see it fails the vertical line test, so then it's not a function. So I can't have two branches. So I have to pick. Either it's going to go in this top part, or it's going to go in the bottom. How do I know which one? Well, if you notice when I drew the bottom piece here, it hit the x-axis. That means there should be an x-intercept there. And I don't have an x-intercept there. So since I don't have an x-intercept there, I'm going to take that piece off. I'm going to take that branch off, and that must mean the branch has to be on the top. So this is where my branch is going to go. Why is it curving this way and say not this way? Well, because it has to approach the asymptote. You see the asymptotes here. So that is why my branch is drawn this way. So that's for that piece, okay? So now we're going to look in the orange piece in the middle. There are 4 different options for that, for the middle. My branches are can either go like this, like this, like this, or like this. Okay, so you have to figure out which way it's going to go. So when I look at I'm looking at just this piece right here. I know my branch has to either look like this or like this, right? So if I draw it here, and it's approaching the asymptotes, or if I draw it here, I have to figure out which branch. It can't be both, it has to be one or the other. And clearly, I see it has to be the bottom, because I have 2 points on my graph and my branch needs to go through those points. So it can't be this one. Okay, so I'm going to take that one off. And I see that it has to be the bottom one. Okay. Now I'm going to look at now I'm going to look at these 2 pieces in here. Again, my branch can either go like this, or it can come down like this. So I have to figure out which one can it be. If you notice when I drew it on the bottom, it crossed the x-axis here. And I don't have an x-intercept there. So I can't create an x-intercept that's not there. So it can't be the bottom branch. So it has to be the top branch. So then this is how I graph it in the middle. And yes, your branches can cross horizontal asymptotes. They can't cross vertical, but they can cross horizontal. You see right here it's crossing, and that's okay. And now I'm going to my yellow piece, and I'm going to do the same thing. Either I have to determine where my branches are going to go. Either my branch is going to look like this, approaching the asymptotes, or it's going to look like this. Those are the 2 options. Clearly, I have a point, I have an x-intercept in the bottom piece that my graph has to go through. So that must mean my branch has to be on the bottom and it can't be on the top. So I'm going to take off the top piece, and I'm just going to graph the bottom branch to be curved. You know, I'm doing the best I can here. And that's how you graph that rational function. That's my final answer. Okay. Let's look at one more, maybe two, we'll see, because I don't want to be talking too much. Let's look at number 8. Okay, number 8 is 2x squared minus 5x plus 2 over 2x squared minus x minus 6. And that simplifies to 2x minus 1 over 2x plus 3. So it turns out I have a whole. We did these problems already, so I'm not going to go over them in too much detail. My whole's at 2 3/7. I have a x-intercept at 1/2, 0. I have y-intercept at 0, negative 1/3. I have vertical asymptote at x equals negative 3/2. Horizontal asymptote at y equals 1. And a slant asymptote I don't have because I have the horizontal. So I'm going to put all my information together and plot everything and draw everything. So I have x-intercept at 1/2 and 0. So that is going to be here, approximately. 0 and negative 1/3 is going to be approximately here for my y-intercept. My vertical asymptote is at x equals negative 3/2. So that's 1.5. So that's going to be here. Okay. Horizontal asymptote at y equals 1. And a whole at 2 3/7. So estimating that to be approximately here. And then you see I'm drawing it like I would a whole, right? And then I'm going to look at my graph. Basically, the vertical asymptotes for me create the sections that I want to look at. So we have 2 sections here, right? So I have this section on the left that I'm going to look at first, okay? Again, I have to draw 2 branches. I have to draw a branch. I have to figure out which branch. Where is it going to go? Is the branch going to be on the top, like this? Or is it going to be on the bottom? Because that's to follow the asymptote, like this. You see when I draw it on the bottom, what happens? It creates an x-intercept that I don't have. So clearly I cannot use the bottom branch. So I'm going to take that off. And the branch must be on the top. And then since I only have one vertical asymptote, that is creating the other side over here. See, the other one that we did had 2 vertical asymptotes, so it created 3 sections. So now I'm looking at this point, this part over here, this section. And again, I want to draw a branch. I have to figure out where the branch is going to go, on the top or the bottom. But based on where my points are, because my branch can only go on the top or in the bottom. But based on where my points are, it has to be on the bottom because it has to go through these points. It hits this hole, jumps over it, and it keeps going. So that's how you graph this type of rational function. Okay, I'll do one more. And let's do number 12. Okay, number 12 was x squared minus 2x minus 15 over x, which simplifies to, actually it can't be simplified, so I'll just leave it. So So what we're gonna do is fill in all of our information. So number 12 has two x-intercepts at 5, 0, 5, 0, and negative 3, 0. Y-intercept is, there are none. Vertical asymptote at x equals 0. Horizontal asymptote, there is none. Slant asymptote at y equals x minus 2. And no holes. Okay, so I'm going to take all my information and plot it. So I have 5, 0. I have negative 3, 0. I have a vertical asymptote, which is on the y-axis. Okay, so since I only have one vertical asymptote, again, that's going to create two sections. So I have a section here. And I have a section over here. I'm going to look at those differently. Oh, I forgot my slant asymptote. My slant asymptote is the line y equals x minus 2. So I'm going to plot that. My slope, my y-intercept is negative 2. Oops. Let me go back to my pen. So I have negative 2, and my slope is up 1 over 1. My line, which is probably not going to be too straight, is going to look something like this. Let me just take those points out because I don't want you to think those are actually on the line, because they're not. Okay, so there's my slant asymptote. And let me take off this, there we go, take off the, because it actually, since I have a slant asymptote here, it creates two sections, but they're slanted, right? So I actually have this top piece here, or this, I have this piece here. And then I have, let me go back. I have this bottom piece here. So this is what I'm going to look at first. So either my branch is going to go in the top piece like this, or it's going to go in the bottom piece like this. So clearly I have a point here. So my branch has to go through that point, so it can't be the bottom piece. And again, my vertical asymptote, since I only have one, it only creates two sides. So this is my left side that I'm looking at right now. So since it can't be the bottom branch, I'm going to take that off. And I'm also going to redraw that because it needs to approach my asymptote, but also needs to go through the point. And then it's going to get closer to the asymptote up here. Okay. Then I'm going to look at the other side, which is over here. But since I have a slant asymptote, it's a little bit different. Either my branch is going to look like this, or my branch is going to look like this. And clearly, since I have a point in the bottom piece, that's where my branch has to go. So I'm going to take off the bottom, take off the top branch, and I'm going to leave the bottom. And that's my graph. Okay, I hope this is helpful. And, we'll talk about it when we see each other again. All right, bye.